Did you know that you can drastically increase your chance of getting a date or a job without even saying a word?
Hi, I'm Katie from Richmond, Virginia. Let's talk about that.
Good mythical morning.
Today's episode is brought to you by Smule, makers of musical apps, including MadPad.
You can record sights and sounds using your phone or iPad and then turn them into an audiovisual drum machine. It's amazing. Download it today. Smule.com.
There's been some research that's been happening, and as you mythical beasts who watch Good Mythical Morning know, when research begins happening, my ears perk up.
We happen along with it.
Research.
We happen with research.
I usually do that. I do this with my ears and say research.
And then it's like the news. If you go, just tell us about it.
I don't do that.
But you tell me about it, and I'll do the
Don't do
news.
that. It's already annoying, but it'll become more annoying if you continue to do it.
Thought it was awesome.
Amy Cuddy is her name. I like that name, Amy Cuddy. She's a psychologist at Harvard University, and she has determined through a study and some research that posture is very important. Did you know that, Link? Sit up a little bit. Hold your chin up a little bit.
Okay.
Posture is very important. Did you know it's almost like a life hack or a brain hack, meaning that you can actually change the biochemistry of your brain simply by your posture. So
Now my Nana would always tell me to sit up straight. She would always do that. Like, she'd poke me in the back. And,
now, is she a Harvard psychologist?
No, and she never said that. Sit up straight. I'm altering your body chemistry or your brain chemistry.
Boy! And then she'd slap you, right?
No, Nana never slapped me.
My grandma slapped me all the time.
No, well, you deserved it.
Grandma's didn't slap you?
No, but if she did, I'm sure it would alter my body chemistry. Well, so, what if you have good posture, it gives you better body chemistry? Is that what you're saying?
Well, what I am saying is that, okay, there's a lot of chemicals in your body, but two of the chemicals in your body are testosterone and cortisol.
Okay.
And if you have high levels of, usually leaders, in fact, people who assume leadership positions, increase their levels of testosterone. This is male or female, and they lower their cortisol levels. Your cortisol is like your stress hormone. So people who maybe are, getting beat down all the time and having to do work for somebody, they might have low testosterone and high cortisol because they're kind of stressed out. But you actually alter your body chemistry when you assume a position like in the workplace or in the world. But this lady, Amy Cuddy, she actually determined that putting your body into a position that makes you bigger, which is usually perceived as more confident, more in command, as opposed to one where you're kind of like, you're kind of down here and you're kind of defeated and you're holding yourself in. Putting yourself in that position actually temporarily increases your testosterone levels and lowers your cortisol levels and makes you a more effective leader, makes you more confident.
Now, I know that, I've heard a lot about body language, that body language can exude confidence.
Did your grandma tell you this?
If you sit like this, it means, and you're listening to someone, it means you're kind of closed off to their point.
Yeah.
And if you're like this,
and if you go like this when they're talking to you, it's like, keep speaking to me.
Yeah.
I'm taking it all in.
And if you lean in, say if you're at a meeting and you don't if you sit like this, it's just like, okay, just give me what I got coming. But if you're like this, you're like, I'm taking what I want. There's body language. It can exude confidence and power, or the opposite.
And most people, that's not exactly what we're talking about here, because most people assume that if you've got the right levels, or you're the right kind of person genetically, or whatever, you've got your mind right, then you're going to go in and you're going to hold your body in the right way. You're going to exude confidence because of who you are. That is partially true, but this study is actually saying you can trick yourself.
Well, what was the test?
What she did is she got a bunch of participants, the people in the experiment.
Okay.
She divided them up in two, and she got them to give a presentation to a panel of judges. And this panel of judges did not know anything about what the experiment was. They were just there to watch the people do a presentation. She got half of them for a few minutes before the presentation to stand in very confident, like the Superman pose, He stands like that for a reason. He's trying to lower his cortisol and raise his testosterone. So
he didn't know that.
Well, no.
He's just super.
Yeah, he's also super. But she got people to stand in this position for a few minutes, and then she got people to like do very like defeated, like making themselves smaller. It's actually how big you make yourself. The key to this is it makes you as big as you possibly could be. And when you kind of get down like this and you hunch over and you bring everything and you cross your legs, you make yourself smaller. And
they did this before giving the
presentation. And then during the presentation, they didn't do anything in particular. They weren't focusing on posture at all. But then she surveyed the panel of judges, and it was very, very noticeable correlation that the people who had made the super posture before the presentation were perceived as much more confident and in control and in command. So
let's apply this to our own lives.
This is fascinating. I must say this is fascinating. Now, there's old studies they discovered a long time ago that you can actually trick yourself into being happy by simply making a happy face. Like if you are sad and you just can force yourself to smile, you can actually make yourself happy. That put on a happy face is actually a scientific thing.
Face.
But putting on a confident posture also has the same effect
before going into something. So
and also, and while you're in something, obviously, if it applies before, it also applies during. So you should carry yourself in a confident posture if you're trying to get something across. But you can prep yourself for certain situations,
as they did. So let's talk about some of these situations that might help out some of the Mythical Beast viewers out there.
Well, if you're applying for a job anytime soon, maybe you've been out of work for a while and you go to job interviews and
you're not alone.
None of them are going well.
It's not you, it's the economy.
Well, first
don't
of all,
blame yourself.
Starting that day, I would say one of the things I'm going to start doing, I'm not looking for a job. Well, actually, I am looking for a job, but we can talk about that later.
Oh.
If I were looking for a job, from the very beginning, when I got in the shower that day, I would bathe in the Superman pose. Be like rubbing soap or a loofah. I don't use a loofah.
Let's not share that.
I would bathe everything. I would shampoo and I'd be as big as I could. I'm a big man already, but I would be bigger than I possibly
probably wouldn't fit in your shower. I mean,
just from there. And then I would walk to my car like RoboCop, and then I would get in and I would drive.
Drop it.
I would drive very confidently to the interview, and then then once you get into a public arena, you can't walk in. Like, you can't look, here comes RoboCop. Don't give that guy the job, because if you look too confident.
Unless you're applying to be RoboCop.
Yeah, well, this will help if you're applying to be RoboCop.
I'm talking to you! Drop it!
Anyway, so when you get to the job interview and you're in the waiting room, first of all, I would say in the waiting room, sit. Don't look too overconfident, because that's going to be a turnoff. But be as big and as relaxed and make your body as big as you possibly can. Don't put your feet up on the coffee table, though, they'll never hire you. Then I would say,
I'm next. I'm going to be interviewed next for the job that you're not going to get.
Go to the bathroom, get in a stall, use it if you have to, but then just stand in a super powerful pose for like 3 or 4 minutes, and then come out and be like, well, I guess he had to take a dump before the interview. So you don't want to see him. You don't want to see you go in there for that long, because that definitely means you were taking a dump if you're going for like 4 minutes.
Well, everyone does that, right? I mean,
you evacuate. You evacuate before the interview.
No, we all do number 2.
But then you come out and you'll actually bring more confidence into the interview, and it will be perceived by the person who's interviewing you.
Okay, so you're in a public place. You see somebody that you're interested in dating. You're supposed to just kind of just pose up.
No, okay.
And then kind of lock eyes.
Let's say there's somebody
build up the testosterone.
There's
and then
somebody
walk
that you're
over.
interested in, and you want to call them on the phone.
Drop it.
First of all, stand like Superman.
If you want to date someone, don't say drop it.
While speaking on the phone. Before you call them, get into the superpose.
Or if you're going to break up with somebody.
But what happens is
pose.
Your natural tendency is when you're encountering things in life that are intimidating, depending on what kind of person you are, you kind of tend to sort of like, oh, I've got to call her and break up with her, or I got to call her and ask her out on a date, or ask her out on another date, and tell her I had a good time the other night, and you start getting small. But if you're like, I'm going to call this woman, tell her I had a good time, and ask her for another date. But then you have to drop that accent before you begin speaking, because she's just going to think you're a complete jerk if you speak like that to her.
Well, you're kind of a tool. You definitely sound like a tool. But you can keep the posture because you're on the phone.
And then in real life, if you just begin to make a practice of keeping your shoulders back, keeping your chin up, and when you're in public, you just spread out a little bit, relax a little bit, not in a disrespectful way, but just make yourself as big as possible. Don't don't focus on it always being so small, and because that actually will have it has a compounding effect on who you are.
I remember when we were in middle school, the guys would always like throw their leg up and just be real cool. And I remember one day, all the teachers got together and said, we have to have a meeting.
Uh-oh.
And they told us, because remember, all the boys would wear these big baggy soccer shorts called Umbros.
Umbros.
And I remember the teacher saying...
Where are you going with this?
I remember the teacher saying, when you prop your legs up and stuff like that, when I'm teaching you, I don't think they use these words, but they said, we can see your junk.
What?
That's what they told us, using different words, which are probably more proper for teachers to use. But they said, if you're going to wear big baggy shorts, don't prop your legs up. So that's my word of caution. Take up more space to increase your testosterone in order to perform better in a leadership mentality, but don't let teachers look up your shorts.
I think you just don't wear Umbros. Unless you're actually out there playing soccer.
Yeah.
Wear...
Maybe they're coming back, though. It could be a fashion statement. I'm just looking out for the kids out there.
Listen, this episode.
Don't show teachers your junk!
I'm going to end in the best possible posture I can. Link, how are we going to end this episode?
I don't know, but we're going to do it with confidence. And now we're going to try to out-testosterone each other? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
We're going to be working all day just kind of looking at each other in the hero pose.
I think I'm winning.
Breath hold contest. Now, I know you're better at this than me, but we'll have to fast forward because you can hold your breath a long time.
Jason, you say go when you're ready. Do a 3, 2, 1, go.
3, 2, 1, go! I breathed in too deeply, and it's something hurting my chest. I'm out. See you tomorrow.